So this being a Star Wars channel, you knew that we were eventually going to sit down and do a video on the apparent problems with The Last Jedi. However, that is not this video. When we actually sat down to write that video, we found out that none of the movies are free from the things that just do not make any sense. So here are 5 things that should have bothered you before The Last Jedi. And by the way, we found so many of these that this is the first of many videos. Number 1. The Exogorth's asteroid atmosphere. Immediately following the Battle of Hoth in The Empire Strikes Back, Han, Leia, Chewie, and 3PO all board the Falcon to evade the Empire. While doing so, they fly into an asteroid belt that surrounds Hoth and then decide to hide inside one of the asteroids with the Falcon. Of course, most, if not everyone watching this knows that Han actually parked the Falcon inside the throat, or stomach or whatever, of a giant space worm called an Exogorth. This is where I have issues with this scene. The very existence of the Exogorth should bother you, and so should everything that happens inside of it. First, Leia sees the Minox outside flying around, which should be a problem because there's no air for their wings to catch in order to fly. And then Han flips the switch to open up the door and then depressurizes the entire Falcon and walks aside in nothing but a light spring jacket and an oxygen mask that only covers his mouth and nose. They should have been shot out that door the moment that he flipped that switch. There should be no moisture inside that Exogorth because that slug should not be able to exist in space on an asteroid with no atmosphere and lingering in the middle of space. And no, it is not big enough to hold an atmosphere because I've checked. So nope, not buying it. Number 2. Why does Leia remember Padme? Now myself, I happen to like the prequels because it takes the galaxy that we know and then shows what that galaxy was like before the Empire takes over. But with that being said, I do understand why some people have problems with them. While I don't plan on falling down the rabbit hole on that particular topic, I would like to address one thing that's been bothering me ever since I saw Revenge of the Sith. Why does Leia remember Padme? I mean, reason number 1, Luke was born first. So if she remembers her, then why can't Luke remember her? And then 2, Padme died shortly after because she was like super bummed out about everything. So like, how do they even remember her at all? Now the scene that brings this into question is during Return of the Jedi when Luke is standing out on the walkway in the Ewok village and Leia walks out to talk to him. Luke turns and asks her, Leia, do you remember your mother? Your real mother? Leia responds saying that she does, but she died when she was really young, which is true because she died when she was like, I don't know, 20 seconds old. At one point, I actually wrote the scene off as Leia talking about her adopted mother, Brea Organa, because at the time, Luke hadn't revealed the information that they were brother and sister yet. But when he did reveal it, she says that she's known and that she's always known. So that just blew that theory right out of the water. So the whole thing just doesn't make sense if you ask me. Number 3. Padme being elected queen at age 14. The form of government the galaxy had during the prequel trilogy was a republic, which means that the people held power within government and elected officials to represent them and their needs in official hearings. Much like how our democracy is today. On the planet of Naboo, Padme is elected queen at age 14. Now in our democracy, candidates who are running for presidency are campaigning for 1 or 2 years before they even get into office, which means that Padme would have been running for office at age 12. Now according to Wikipedia, the denizens of Naboo elected young women because they believed they possessed some form of childlike wisdom that adults lacked. Now to me, that sounds like a plot convenience if I've ever heard one. Bringing the age of whoever's supposed to be a love interest to a young Anakin Skywalker into a not-so-weird range. She could have just as easily been the daughter of the elected queen or senator of Naboo, and it wouldn't even change the movie at all. Number 4. Luke's fall in Cloud City. After Vader cuts off Luke's hand in The Empire Strikes Back, he decides that the only way to get away from Vader is to free fall down this long shaft and pray to the Force that he'll somehow walk away from this daredevil move. Now science in our world says that a man of Mark Hamill's size weighs between 70 and 72 kilograms, and since Luke just lost his hand, we'll put him at the bottom end of that at 70 kilograms. Now a 70 kilogram Luke Skywalker hits terminal velocity, or the point at which he stops accelerating, at about 13 to 15 seconds. And at this point, he's traveling somewhere between 120 and 150 miles an hour. Now, according to the movie, Luke freefalls for about 13 seconds before he luckily drops down to that hole at the bottom of the shaft, meaning that he's traveling at the lower end of that spectrum at like 120-ish miles an hour, which is pretty dang fast. Not only did he live through that fall that should have splattered him all over the bottom of Cloud City, he came to a complete stop at the bottom of the near vertical tubes he's been sliding through. Okay, I may not be an actual scientist, but something tells me that that's not how that's supposed to work.
Okay. You hold on a second. What are we doing? A list of things that bother us about Star Wars? Okay. Number one on my list of things that bothers me about Star Wars is it almost pains me to say it. Geonosians. Geonosians, for the lesser informed, are from the planet Geonosis, and they're the gross winged bug creatures. They're just like, their only real merits are like they're naturally industrious. They like praise industry, but they're just gross. They just look bad. They sleep like tangled in each other in the walls, and like I can't help but just like every time they just get like smashed in the factories, which by the way are entirely, they're not up to code. Space OSHA would not be happy about those factories. But like every time they just get crushed by those like giant like metal things that break Anakin's lightsaber, I cheer. I'm like, good. Good for that machine. That's a good kill count. One dead Geonosian is better than no dead Geonosian. Okay, there's a lot of things to say in a not so positive way about Attack of the Clones, whether it's your feelings towards sand, you might be sand. If you're watching this sand, I apologize. Aside from like those kind of conversations and just some of like the weird awkward exchanges between Anakin and Padme and the relationship as a whole in the movies, because it's not nearly as good as it is in the Clone Wars, the worst thing about that movie is the Geonosians, because they're just the worst. They have to be. That, like, you know, that's their language. It's just awful. Their guns and their no, get it out of here. Don't want it. Get that hashtag not my Star Wars. Those terrible creatures haunt my sleep. They haunt my everyday life. Like, every time I hear a bug, I feel one on my skin. Ah, Geonosian! Oh, God. It was just a mosquito with malaria. Thank God. Anything over Geonosians. Anything. Wait, what were we talking about again?
Alright guys, well that was 5 things that should have bothered you in Star Wars before The Last Jedi, but maybe you didn't agree with everything we said, so make sure you let us know down in the comments below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Poggo the Lesser? More like Poggo the Lesser the better. I'm glad Anakin chopped you in half. Some archduke you are.